Hello students, today's topic is regulation of gene expression. As it is a big topic, I have made 2 to 3 videos for this topic. Now, to know the regulation of gene expression, we have to answer 4 basic questions. Number 1, what is gene expression? What is gene expression? Number 2, why regulation of gene expression is necessary? Number 3, difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic regulation of gene expression, and number 4, how this gene expression is regulated. So while answering the first question, you know that according to the central dogma of molecular biology, DNA is first transcribed into mRNA, which is then translated into a protein. So when this particular segment of DNA is transcribed into an mRNA, this segment is known as gene for a particular protein. So when this particular gene is first transcribed into an mRNA and then translated into a protein, this gene is said to be expressed. So this is gene expression. Now, why this regulation of this expression of gene is necessary? You know that we have 25,000 genes in human beings, and these genes are present in all the nucleated cells in our body, but we do not express all the genes in all the cells in all times. So this expression has to be regulated. For example, hemoglobin is only present in RBCs. So globin protein, the gene for globin protein is expressed only in the blood forming cells. So there are many examples like that. Another example is, suppose a particular metabolic pathway occurs in a particular cell type in a particular organ. So the protein enzymes of that metabolic pathway has to be expressed in that particular cell only. So the gene expression is regulated. It also depends upon the environmental stimulation. So that is why. Now the difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic regulation. So the prokaryotic regulation is simple, just from DNA to RNA to protein, and the regulation in prokaryotes is mainly done in the transcription process. So transcriptional regulation is predominant in case of prokaryotes, but in eukaryotes it is not very simple. There are 7 steps in which the expression of a gene can be regulated. First is transcription. After transcription there is post-transcriptional modification or processing. Then there is RNA synthesis. This is the second step. Then there is protein synthesis, that is translation. So during translation, then there is post-translational modification. In that step also it can be regulated. Again, after synthesis of RNA, we can also regulate the stability of that RNA and degradation of that RNA. In that step also we can regulate it. Next, protein. After protein synthesis, after post-translational modification, protein targeting and transport takes place. At that stage also it can be regulated. Then protein degradation. So rate of protein degradation can also be regulated. There are another 4 basic differences between eukaryotic and prokaryotic regulation. Number 1, in eukaryotic DNA, it is a chromatin structure. So before transcription, the chromatin structure has to be remodeled. So it is complex in case of eukaryotes. The process is very complex. But in prokaryote it is simple because chromatin structure is not there, the naked DNA is there, so it is simple regulation. Number 2, the predominant regulation in case of gene expression in case of eukaryotes is positive regulation. And in case of prokaryotes, it is predominantly negative regulation. Number 3 is the proteins which are involved in regulation of gene expression in eukaryotes are complex and multimeric. Proteins which are needed for regulation of gene expression in case of eukaryotes are complex and multimeric. But it is simple in case of prokaryotic regulation. Number 4, the process of transcription and translation in case of eukaryotes are separated by space and time, because transcription occurs in the nucleus and translation occurs in the cytosol. But in case of prokaryotes, these two processes occur simultaneously. Okay, both in space and time, the transcription and translation are separated, but it is not separated in case of prokaryotic gene expression. Now, the regulatory signals. What are the types of responses to these regulatory signals? There are 3 types. Number 1 is type A. Type A. In type A, what happens? When there is a stimulus, this is the gene expression. When a regulatory stimulus is given, suppose this is the basal level of expression of a gene. When a stimulus is given, the expression of this gene is increased, and when the stimulus ends, it again comes to the basal level. Again, if we give the stimulus, the expression is increased. When it ends, it again comes down to the basal level. So this is type A. Next is type B. Type B response. Here what happens? When a regulatory signal is given, a stimulus is given, the gene expression is increased transiently, then it again comes down. Even if the stimulus is there, it comes down to the basal level, again it increases transiently, and again it comes down to the basal level. So this is type B response. Next is type C response. Here what happens? When a positive stimulus is given, the gene expression is increased and it increases permanently even if the stimulus is withdrawn. So this is type C response. Now we have to know some terminologies. Number 1 is housekeeping genes. Housekeeping genes. So what are housekeeping genes? So genes which are expressed at more or less constant level in virtually all cells of the body are known as housekeeping genes. For example, the central metabolic pathway, the protein enzymes of the central metabolic pathways in our body, which takes place in almost every cell, they are expressed at a normal constant level. So these are housekeeping genes. Next is constitutive gene expression. Constitutive gene expression is the unvarying expression of a gene irrespective of any molecular signal is known as constitutive gene expression. This constitutive gene expression takes place for housekeeping genes. Next is regulated gene expression. Regulated gene expression means the varying expression of a gene which depends upon a particular molecular signal is known as regulated gene expression. Number 4 is induction. When the expression of a particular gene is increased by an inducer molecule, that is known as induction. Next is repression. So when the level of expression of a particular gene is decreased because of a repressor molecule, then it is known as repression. So induction is positive regulation, repression is negative regulation. Now, how this regulation of gene expression takes place? So we need many proteins for that. So particular regulator gene is there. Okay, suppose this is the regulator gene. It expresses a particular protein. Now, a particular gene which is the target of regulation. Suppose this gene has to be regulated. Now, you all know that there is a promoter site upstream of the any gene where the RNA polymerase binds to this promoter site. Okay. Now, upstream of the promoter site, there is a regulatory site where this regulatory protein will bind, which may cause positive regulation or negative regulation. This protein, which mainly regulates the gene of another protein, it is the regulatory protein, and it is also known as trans-acting molecules. Trans-acting molecule. And the segment of DNA upstream of the promoter of the gene that needs the expression of these genes to be regulated, is known as this segment is known as cis-acting element or molecule. So, cis-acting element. Okay. So, this is how regulation of gene expression is done. Mainly the transcriptional regulation. Now, in prokaryotes, how this regulation takes place? We have to know some terms. First is operon. What is operon? In prokaryotes, what happens? The genes which are meant for a particular metabolic pathway, that gene codes for the protein enzymes of a particular metabolic pathway are clustered together, regulated together, and transcribed together in a particular mRNA. That mRNA, where more than one genes are transcribed, is known as polycistronic mRNA. So structure of an operon consists of more than one structural genes. Suppose gene 1, gene 2, gene 3. There is one regulator gene and operator gene. Operator gene and one promoter gene. Okay, promoter side. Operator side and promoter side. So this is the structure of an operon for a particular metabolic pathway. Now, if these genes are transcribed to a single mRNA, this is known as polycistronic mRNA. Usually prokaryotes, they have polycistronic mRNA, but eukaryotes have monocistronic mRNA. That means one gene is transcribed into one mRNA. An important example of operon is leg operon. Leg operon. It is concerned with lactose metabolism. It was first discovered by two scientists, Jacob and Monod, in 1961. The structure of leg operon is like this. There are three structural genes: leg Z, leg Y, and leg A. Then there is operator side and a promoter side. Operator side and a promoter side. And there is regulator gene, leg I. Regulator gene, leg I. This leg Z gene is first transcribed and translated to a protein. That protein is beta galactosidase. Leg Y is transcribed and translated to a protein which is galactoside permease. Leg A codes for the enzyme thiogalactoside transacetylase. So these are structural genes which codes for three enzymes which are required for metabolism of lactose. Lactose is broken down into glucose and galactose. Now, this leg operon is present in E. coli. This operator site is the site where the repressor protein will bind, like lock and key. Okay. This promoter is the site where the RNA polymerase will bind. Okay. And the leg I gene codes for the repressor protein. Which binds to the operator site. Now, there are some circumstances when there is no lactose. So, the enzymes catabolizing lactose should not be translated. They should not be produced. So, this leg operon is shut down. So, when there is no lactose, suppose there is no lactose. Okay. When there is no lactose, what happens? The repressor protein will bind to the operator site like this, and the RNA polymerase. Suppose this is the RNA polymerase. So it cannot move, so it cannot transcribe these structural genes. So it is shut down. Now, if there is lactose is there. So bacteria needs to catabolize lactose into glucose and galactose. So these structural genes needs to be expressed. So this lactose will bind to the repressor protein and alters the conformation of this repressor protein such that it cannot bind to the operator site. Okay. So this is the circumstance where lactose is produced. So the RNA polymerase will transcribe all the structural genes. So these protein enzymes are synthesized and the lactose is metabolized. Another instance is that when there is glucose is there. So if there is both lactose and glucose, so bacteria already have glucose as the source of energy. So it need not synthesize the it need not catabolize the lactose. So glucose is already there. If glucose is there, what happens? It inhibits the enzyme adenyl cyclase. It inhibits the enzyme adenyl cyclase. Adenyl cyclase is the enzyme which converts ATP into cyclic AMP. So adenyl cyclase, when it is inhibited, cyclic AMP is not formed. Okay. Now, what is the role of this cyclic AMP? Cyclic AMP needs to be bound to the upstream to the promoter site along with a protein known as CAP, catabolite gene activator protein. Catabolite gene activator protein, CAP. So CAP CAMP complex should bind to the promoter site to enable RNA polymerase to transcribe the structural genes. So if glucose is there in the medium, the E. coli bacteria need not catabolize lactose. So the glucose inhibits adenyl cyclase so that cyclic AMP cannot be formed, which cannot form a complex with catabolite gene activator protein, which cannot bind to the promoter site. So RNA polymerase also cannot transcribe the structural genes. So this is another circumstance where lactose is present irrespective of the status of lactose. If the glucose is present, this lac operon is shut down. So this is about lac operon. So this is an important example of regulation of gene expression in prokaryotes. In the next video, I will show you how it is done in eukaryotes. Thank you.